So, Jill, how do you define a values-based life?
I would say that it's a life lived intentionally based around your values. So, figuring out what those highest values are and making every aspect as much as you're able to really align with those values. It's an entire lifestyle. And it's not what someone else wants. It's not fantasy living. It's not just a means to an end. It really is supposed to be long-term lifestyle. That could mean shifts and changes along the way, that life looks different and what you choose to invest your time, energy, resources, and attention to might change. But in general, this living with intentionality as a way to honor the things that we most value.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned it's not the fantasy life and then it's not the means to an end. I think we can get so caught up in the extremes of we are either gonna, live our best life now and not worry about the future, or we're save in order to retire early and just live all of our life later. But a values-based life really does put everything into perspective to where we can almost balance like living a full life now and making sure that we can live a full life in the future.
Well, and I think engaging in understanding what are our values can help us understand ourselves better, understand others, the world around us more fully, more clearly. And I think it can also help us to know how to engage with ourselves, with others, with the world around us in a more productive, might I even say healthy way. So there's so many benefits, right? I know that we primarily talk about finances, but there's so many benefits even beyond that when we grow in our understanding of ourselves, why we do the things we do, why we operate the way we operate, why we spend the way we spend, save the way we save, relate the way that we relate. I think all of these things, when we talk about intentionality, it blends all of these so that we can be aimed at something that is more meaningful, more purposeful, more in alignment with the things that matter most to us. So Jen, let's talk about, how does values-based living align with values-based spending? How do the two go together?
Yeah, because you really would think, oh, if I'm living a values-based life, then I'm definitely going to be overspending because my values are fancy.
Yes. I really value having brand new things all the time.
But that's one of the reasons we need values-based budgeting, right? So that we can plan to incorporate things that really do make values-based living possible. And so when you budget, then you incorporate those things and you leave out all the things that aren't in alignment with your budget. And I think that's the most freeing part, is that we are no longer spending on things that are important to other people or that we assume are important or necessary. We're just living in alignment with our values and our partner's values, if we have one. And I think living a values-based lifestyle actually takes away a lot of opportunity for impulse spending. Because if you are living a life that is based around somebody else's expectations, or living a life that just has been conglomerated on accident and not intentionally, it provides you so many more opportunities to impulse spend, whether it's because of the places you're going, the people you're around, or the way you're feeling. But when you are living a values-based life and couple that with values-based budgeting, then you are not going to places that make you feel like you need to spend to lift your mood. You are not around people who force you or pressure you to spend on things you don't want to spend on. You can set boundaries with family, with your spending, because you're nourished and you have the mental capacity to do that stuff. So really, values-based living can really help eliminate a lot of impulse spending and help stick to a values-based budget.
I think it can lead to more contentment too, and less exhaustion. I mean, even as you were
Mm-hmm.
describing, when we're trying to live the life that we think others want us to live or meet others' expectations, like I just felt this exhaustion kind of
and
come
we don't
in.
even know we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that in myself, especially with how many guests we have. I can think, oh, am I doing things in the way that they're gonna like and want? And is my home clean enough? Is it pretty enough? And it's like, is that actually important to me? I mean, I want to be kind to other people, but it is less exhausting when we can actually know, well, what's important to me? How do I value that as a means to also value and care for others? And again, relate to the world around me in a more beneficial, productive way.
So values-based living and spending sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, even with how it helps rein in your spending, like how can you better afford to live a values-based life?
I'm so glad you asked, because none of us, hardly any of us, have limitless income and can just spend however we want. So
I wish.
well, there's pressure and responsibility that come with that too.
Maybe I don't wish.
Yeah. And I think it takes a lot of creativity and problem solving. So yeah, there's contentment here.
Yeah.
And so I think it does have to do with all the things that we've talked about so far, of identifying what are our values, how can we spend in alignment with that. But also it's a matter of looking at what don't we value and where can we cut. We want to be able to cut spending wherever possible, particularly in the ways that aren't actually that important to us. So when we look at our spending, when we look at our expenses, to look with a really critical eye of where am I spending that I might not actually need to be spending, even in some of the big areas, right? We even want to look at transportation, housing, so our food budget. Certainly we have to eat, but are we spending in ways that actually align with the things that are bringing value into our life and honor our highest values? So we want to look at where we can cut. Beyond that, we also want to look at where we can earn. So if that one very important line item of income is never where we want it to be to even meet our most basic expenses, and it certainly doesn't give much room for being able to spend in alignment with our values, let's earn more. We do not have to be capped where we're at. We do want to be looking at where can there be growth in our personhood, growth in our finances, just growth, because that does open the doors to a lot more. And so we want to consider side hustles. We want to consider promotions, raises. Where is there more opportunities within the company that you're in? And if not, is there a move of career that we want to look at, or just a change of job? So looking at earning. And then building boundaries. This is a big one. And I know that I've talked about this a lot with you. I think one of the biggest things that I talk about with my clients, my day job of counseling, is boundaries. And we all need work on our boundaries. And I think for the rest of our lives, because we learn as we go, and we need to identify how to relate to different people, right? Boundaries are not static. They're quite dynamic. Some people I let in closer than others. And so identifying where our boundary lines are with family and friends, particularly as it relates to spending and saving. And what a good definition of boundaries is just what is okay and what's not okay. So this definitely relates to our values-based budgeting, spending, lifestyle, savings. What is okay and what's not okay? And as I relate to others, particularly with my spending, what is and isn't okay? Where might I be spending that isn't in alignment with my values and isn't actually valuing other people? And maybe where do I need to be spending more so that I can show value and generosity to others, which then links back to the other two. I might need to cut. I might need to earn more in order to do that. So cutting, earning, building some of these boundaries, identifying them. I think these are all really important keys.
Yeah.
So, how can someone start learning what their values-based lifestyle is and how to afford it?
So the first thing is always find your core values. You have to start to learn who you are so that you can start basing a life around yourself and not others, or start living a life intentionally and not accidentally.
Mm,
So finding those top 3 to 4 core values that you can start with. You may have more. I know some of our members in our membership community was like, I have 2. And I was like, cool, great place to start.
Yes.
So very easy.
And I'm like, I have 10.
Yeah. So you can fall anywhere, but like, let's pick
Mhm.
the 3 to 4 most important ones to focus on, and then start planning our time in alignment with the values. Look at your financial picture. So not just your spending, but all of your finances. So something that got me motivated to pay off debt was that I wanted to be a foster parent one day, but I also had $50,000 of student loan debt. And if you know anything about foster parenting, it's very emotionally draining, physically exhausting, very gratifying, but
Right.
it does require flexibility for visits and court and all that kind of stuff. And so I knew that having a job with set hours would be really difficult, and having $50,000, well, with everything total was $78,000. Having $78,000 of debt would make it really hard to live the dream that I wanted, which was in alignment of my like value of community. Essentially, it kind of aligns with that one. I tie family into that one too.
Yeah.
So that's what motivated me to start paying off the debt, is so that I could one day realize that dream in that values-based lifestyle. So you have to figure out what you value and what you want, and then start making your financial picture look like that. And so we have a values-based budget binder.
Yeah, we do.
That obviously has a lot of beautiful budgeting templates, but most of the binder is actually a 6-week challenge that helps you figure out what your core values are. It has a really in-depth core values inventory and questionnaire. And then how do we connect them back to budgeting and spending, working and earning, because those are 2 separate things that you need to look at, your work and your capacity to increase your income, saving and investing. So like enjoying saving, connecting, wanting to do it because it connects back to your values, and then building wealth and how having wealth can serve your values. And then obviously lifestyle and even value-centered communication, because especially if you have a partner or if you are very close to your family, these people and your friends, these people influence your finances. And so if we need to have money conversations with someone, core values can be kind of like an equalizer that can help that conversation, help each other understand each other better based on core values, and come up with a resolution that benefits both parties. And so that's in 110 pages in our values-based budget binder. And we also go through it together as a group in our membership community.
I'm so thrilled that we're doing this membership community. I think, well, as with the podcast, we do things that are also going to benefit us. And so I think building an even more tight-knit community, gamifying some of these things and having fun with it, which are the challenges, and then having people who we're getting to know and know us, who are going to keep us on track with some of these things. I know that I have experienced such an exponential growth, like greenhouse growth, in the way that I approach my budget and finances and lifestyle since having the podcast, having the membership, and I think even having these tools and resources like the values-based budget binder are incredibly helpful, because I can like these concepts, know these concepts, but actually executing on them, it's really helpful to have tools to kind of guide us through that process. And I think that the values-based budget binder does that beautifully.
Yeah.
And then to be able to do it in community with a membership, forget about it.
Yeah, having the small group, accountability group, matching service, and then also the greater group, like the larger group with the Q&As and the book club and all of that. If you don't have that kind of community that's financially supportive, like in your physical life, it is a safe space and a fun space digitally. So we love that, and it's been a real thrill to go through this one with our members. And so, a values-based lifestyle is just so important, and we're really hoping that more people adopt it as a way of living.
Of course, because it's great.